Good, whatever the time of the day or night it happens to be while you're watching this. My name's Max Furno. I'm the media and graphic designer for Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service. As always, we've got the man who can always get 4G. I am, of course, talking about Tom, our media resources technician, working his magic behind the scenes.
Hi, everybody.
And we'd like to welcome you to the podcast. This time we've travelled way up north to Swindon Community Fire Station. Well, when I say way up north, when you live in West Dorset like I do, pretty much 90% of the country is considered north to you. We'd like to thank Rachel for stepping in at the last second there and doing the narration honours for us this time. So we're going to have a listen to what she's got to say in a second, but afterwards stick around to the end as Tom's going to be reading out some of your emails that you've been emailing into us. So all that leaves me to do is to say, Tom, run VT.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Rachel Slade and I work in operational effectiveness. I'm here today at Swindon Fire Station. I'd like to welcome you to the podcast, and now we will take a look back at recent activities we've been up to. As always, our dedicated staff continue to be involved in a number of youth engagement programmes. The achievements of the young people involved in these were celebrated at pass-out parades during November and December, joined by family, friends and distinguished guests. The funeral for the Marlborough legend, retired sub-officer George Johnson, was held in January. Born on the 17th of November 1926, George joined Wiltshire Fire Brigade in 1949 as a firefighter. On the 29th of May 1966, he received a Queen's Commendation for bravery and the British Empire Medal for rescuing 2 children from a major fire at the Polly Tea Rooms in Marlborough High Street. He received the Long Service and Good Conduct Medal in 1969 and eventually retired in 1981 after 32 years of service. Before the funeral, a vintage fire tender carried the coffin along the High Street to Marlborough College, where George worked for 65 years and then back to Marlborough Fire Station. Working with the Army, Navy, Royal Air Force and Dorset Police, we supported a careers fair at the Lansdowne campus of Bournemouth and Poole College in December. By offering fire-fit and have-a-go activities, we are able to promote career opportunities to students and show that the fire service is an employer of choice. Firefighters were on hand to engage with students and answer questions, as well as showing them the real firefighting equipment like hoses and heavy-duty cutting tools. The students then had fun competing against each other in our Fire Fit Challenge. Visit our website for details of our current employment opportunities. We were immensely proud to be invited to the Dorset Ethnic Minority Awards in November. We sponsored the Community Group Award, which Deputy Chief Fire Officer Derek James presented to the Dorset Polish Centre. And it celebrates the hard work and commitment from local individuals and community groups who are contributing towards supporting and growing the country's diversity. The event is a real opportunity for us to demonstrate our commitment to the safety of all our residents, showing our recognition for the great work that is happening across Dorset and Wiltshire as we strive to create a workforce reflective of our communities. As a service, we are responsible for the enforcement of the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order on behalf of the Fire and Rescue Authority. Our fire safety teams carry out a range of work with businesses to support their compliance and meet their obligations under the legislation. We do this through carrying out fire safety audits and, where necessary, using enforcement action. We also work with businesses to provide advice to help them recover when a significant fire does happen, ensuring they have the correct fire safety standards in place going forward. We also support our primary authority partners with any fire safety issues affecting their premises. Our focus since the Grenfell Tower fire has been ensuring that the residents of high-rise buildings and our firefighters are as safe as they can be. We are working nationally to respond to potential changes in the legislation that has been highlighted by the government, and continue to work with a range of organisations locally to ensure that risks in high-rise residential properties are being effectively managed. This has involved visiting every high-rise residential building in the service area, conducting familiarisation visits, and meeting with residents groups to provide advice and reassurance. We also continue to install premises information plates on the high-rise premises to support operational crews' information gathering when attending incidents. In January, an exercise was held in Bournemouth to test our emergency response at the student accommodation block, working alongside the site managers to also test their evacuation procedures. Other exercises are scheduled across the service over the coming months. Working with the National Fire Sprinkler Network and the British Automatic Fire Sprinkler Association, we continue to highlight the benefits of sprinklers with local businesses and housing providers. There is no doubt that sprinklers save lives, protect property and significantly reduce the devastating effects of fires in our communities and the environment. We are pleased that the Secretary of State has announced that he is minded to reduce the trigger height for sprinklers in residential buildings from 18 metres to 11. Each month, our fire crews attend around 420 calls to automatic fire alarms. This has a significant impact on our service, affecting training and our prevention and protection activities. For us to work more efficiently, we are challenging the number of calls we attend. We are changing our approach of how we respond to these calls, working with building owners and managers to support this. If you have any fire safety concerns, please contact your local fire safety team, who will work with the owners to reduce these types of calls. Our incident commanders are now able to use body-worn cameras to assist in their practical incident command assessments. The camera captures their decisions and communication styles and command skills. The footage will also be available to evidence positive use of equipment and incident ground techniques, or can be shared with the police for investigations. Approximately 35 of our firefighters were mobilised to a fire in a block of flats in Devizes in December. Our control room staff were able to give fire survival guidance to multiple callers and guided firefighters to residents trapped or unable to self-evacuate, enabling them to rescue a number of people from their flats. A woman in her 50s was taken by ambulance to the Great Western Hospital in Swindon in a critical condition due to smoke inhalation. Unfortunately, she sadly died, and our thoughts are with her family and friends as we continue to assist the police with their investigations. 4 crews responded to a report that people had been climbing the Ferris wheel at Bournemouth Pier in November. One of our highly trained technical rescue firefighters climbed up the Ferris wheel ladder and successfully led 3 people to safety using Swindon Fire Station's new 42-metre aerial ladder platform. A car ended up on the railway line at Wiltshire train station in December and caught fire after connecting with the live rail. The driver and their passengers escaped uninjured, but the line between Weymouth and Poole had to be closed while the incident was dealt with and replacement bus services were put in place. Firefighters treated the driver for shock and were able to quickly extinguish the fire, minimising the inconvenience to rail users.
So many thanks to Rachel for doing the narration honours for us this time. Tom, have you received any emails this time?
New emailer Becky, with double K-I, has contacted us to say, "Hi Max and Tom, love the podcast. When watching your last podcast, I was hoping you would play the footage backwards of you using the poles."
Yes, so this was when we were at Springbourne Community Fire Station, and they've actually got 2 poles and 2 stories, 3? Well, I don't know, whatever you mean. So one pole goes from the first floor, which I think is the one you went down, Tom, and then they've got another pole which actually goes down 2 flights of stairs, which I went down. And I think she's right. I think we missed a trick here, didn't we? I do like to think, play things backwards. So maybe, Tom, if you can have a dig round on your office floor and locate the reel of film that we use for that and thread it into your editing suite backwards so that we can see us go back up the poles.
Yep.
There you go, Becky. I'd like to see that, so let's watch it now. There you go, Becky, with a double KI. I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I did, anyway.
Fox Tony has emailed in to say, "Hi Max and Tom, love the podcast. Does DWFire ever get called into other areas of the country to attend fires and help other teams? And do they ever go abroad to share their expertise and knowledge?"
Yeah, so obviously some of our fire stations are positioned fairly near to our Dorset and Wiltshire borders, and if there is an incident maybe in another county, sometimes it's quicker for one of our fire engines to respond than it is for sending a fire engine from that particular county. And our fire control operators in the southwest work all using the same system and work quite closely together. So it's very easy to mobilise a fire engine from a border county if they're going to be quickest to get there. Probably the other part of his question is maybe referring to sort of larger incidents, and I'm thinking of the Nuffield petroleum fire a few years ago. Anyway, it was a big oil refinery or something like that went up, and lots of services sent crews to help deal with that fire. I think they call it a national emergency, so that once that's invoked, then lots of services will come together and help deal with it. And then I think that the third part of the question, what was that about sending firefighters abroad? And perhaps Tony's referring to the terrible bushfires in Australia that are happening, while we're filming this. And that would be coordinated by the government. We wouldn't just send firefighters to go and deal with that ourselves. I do know of firefighters that have done a sort of exchange with services abroad, and that's quite a good way of sharing, knowledge and expertise, and the different ways that other countries deal with different types of incidents, and it's a good way of sort of bringing back that sort of knowledge to us and having a look and maybe seeing if the way we're dealing with it could be improved, from the way other services do it. So and we have hosted other crews from other services. I think we did one when we were at Poole Fire Station maybe a couple of years ago, and there was actually a visiting crew there that and they were being shown around some of the technical rescue stuff that Poole Fire Station has, that their crews deal with. That's quite a long-winded way round of answering that question, but I hope I've got there. Tom, have we had any others?
Yes, we have Fots Kingers 99 has emailed in to say, "Hi Max and Tom, love the podcast. Do all fire engines carry the stuff required for all fire types? Water versus foam."
Basically, yes. There's only so much equipment you can fit on a fire engine, so the types of equipment that is put on there is very sort of carefully calculated, depending on the sort of written, the main percentage of incidents that we attend. In terms of sort of firefighting media, then obviously the main thing is water. And I think it's something like 1,800 litres of water, or is it 18,000 litres of water? Anyway, it's about 27 bathfuls or something like that a fire engine carries, and that's what they use for most fires. But then when you have sort of oil fires or where you need more of a blanketing way of tackling the fire, they use a thing called foam. I think they call it CAFS, C-A-F-S. I'm assuming the F stands for foam, and the S system, something like that. What the C and I don't know. We should have looked this up. It's CAFS foam. Anyway, that's what they use. And actually, when we were at Red Hill Park a couple of years ago, Callum, one of our firefighters, showed us around the equipment. It's quite good if you can find it to see, all of the equipment that's carried on a fire engine, and he actually showed us the CAFS system there, and it's used for oil fires, and I think they use it on sort of engine vehicle fires as well, because it forms a blanket and it stops the oxygen getting getting in, and that's puts it out that way. Yeah, another long-winded answer, I think. Is that everything covered, Tom, in his question?
I think so, yes.
So I think that's brought us to the end of the show quite nicely. If you want to get in contact with me, then you need to be able to spell my surname. And if you can do that, then you can email me at max.furno@dwfire.org.uk. Tom, how can people get in contact with you?
People can email me at thomas.dryden-kelsey@dwfire.org.uk. I'd like to also say that this show and everything we produce is on YouTube. And it's completely free, which we both think is pretty good value for money.
We certainly do. We put the F in free.
We certainly do. So please feel free to get in contact and tell us what you think of the show and what you might like to see from future episodes.
Do you really think it's a good idea to ask people what they think of the show?
No.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. There's loads of stuff up on our YouTube channel. Just search for youtube.com/DWFire. We're hosted by Podcast Garden, so have a look at our other shows that are there. You can also subscribe. You can also subscribe to us in your app of choice on your phone. Again, just search for DWFire. I think that's brings us to the end of the show. All that leaves me to do is to say, no, I don't have a catchphrase, but then I'm a graphic designer. I'm not a presenter. That's all for now. Tom, fade to black.
Goodbye.
You might like to have a look out the window while we're filming here, rather than going out in the yard. As you can see, we've got the magic roundabout behind us, but hopefully everyone gets across it okay, and I don't know where I'm going with this. That's the best ending I've ever done. I'm not... Time for a boiled... I forgot about boiled egg. Okay, I'll say it now. Right, time for a boiled egg.
Yes.
There we go. Right, knock off, make up. Bye.